Soundstripe. 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 Soundstripe.
Good afternoon. Can you please introduce yourself to the audience, please?
My name is Jackson Herr. I'm a fifth year senior here at Millersville, and I'm going to be graduating in a couple days. Formerly was on the wrestling team.
Can you tell me a little bit about your wrestling career?
My wrestling career was pretty good up until college, to where weight cutting became a large issue for me, and my career kind of fell off with COVID and everything else.
So can you tell me about the first time you cut weight and whose idea it was?
I was 6 years old, and it was for a rec league tournament, and it was my parents' idea.
And do you remember how much weight you were trying to cut back at that young age?
Not much, but it was the night before, and I was in the bathroom with a trash bag on, running with the shower out hot, so it would be like a sauna, so I could make weight.
Wow. So can you tell me a little bit more about maybe one of your biggest weight cuts?
Yeah, my biggest weight cut was my freshman year here at Millersville. I tried to come down to 149, and for the most part of the preseason, I was above 160, kind of 165-ish. So that weight cut was pretty massive for me.
And can you tell me a little bit about that experience and some of the things that happened throughout that season?
Yeah, the experience was pretty tough. I really committed hard early to make the weight, and throughout the beginning half of the season, it was going okay. I wasn't really performing my best, but I was making the weight nonetheless. Then once we went on Christmas break, my weight ballooned way too high, and then ever since then, coming back, the rest of that season I was having a lot of issues with stomach ulcers and throwing up because of the large weight cut and the odd eating schedule. I feel like the first weight cut of college was kind of an accumulation of my entire life, and my body finally rejecting what I was doing to it, because I would never cut weight the right way.
And when you talk about cutting weight the right way, do you think that there is a old school sort of stigma around cutting weight in the sport of wrestling, and how a lot of coaches brought you up? Maybe those tactics that they had from, back in the day weren't, as successful as, the tactics that younger guys and younger, post-collegiate athletes have right now, and, like workout programs, such as Wrestlers Nutrition and other, nutritionist programs.
Yeah, I'd say absolutely. The old school stigma was more or less just kind of start yourself and figure it out, and that's not healthy in any way. The way to do it, the healthy way, is to diet, kind of find the right weight class, don't go down too much, also don't be too heavy. You have to find the sweet spot where you need to be, also just by eating right and doing the right things for your body.
So if you had any advice for a future athlete who may be in a similar position as you were in, what would you say to them?
If you're in high school, don't cut weight, let your body develop. Once you're old enough to understand what you're doing, don't cut too much weight, but if you can diet and make a lower weight class and you feel like that's healthy, I'd say go for it.
I'm Brandon Connor. I'm a senior here. I'm on the wrestling team, and I graduate in a couple days.
Awesome. And so can you tell me a little bit about your wrestling career and some of the accomplishments you've had?
So I wrestled here for 5 years. I'm a 3-time national qualifier, and I've enjoyed every minute of it.
Awesome, that's great. So can you tell me, when was the first time that you cut weight and whose idea was it?
I've only cut weight probably for 1 year. That was my freshman year of high school. I was like about 120 pounds and I cut to 106. It was my idea. I thought it would benefit me, but yeah.
And nobody had any sort of influence on that decision, any coaches?
Yeah, I'd say my head coach, he wanted me to cut to 106. And I never really cut weight before, and I just listened to him. So then, yeah, he definitely influenced me.
How would you say that affected your performance throughout that year?
It definitely affected me a little bit negatively because I wasn't really eating much, and I hated the sport too because of it. So yeah, I didn't enjoy it at all. No.
So you would say that your freshman year, that was your biggest weight cut from 120 pounds to 106 pounds?
Yeah.
And what were some of the things that you had to do to help yourself get down to that weight class?
I'd say definitely extra workouts, and like I was already skinny as it was, so it was definitely a lot harder to cut the weight. I mean, it was only 14 pounds, but I was like 15 years old and I was already skinny, so it was super hard. So I had to really like eat a lot less, and like what I did eat was just like chicken and rice and vegetables, and that was like twice a day. So it was definitely really hard on my body, I'd say.
And would you say that this weight cut had a effect on the future of your career?
I'd say, yeah. I think after that, I realized I didn't like cutting weight anymore, and I never did it again. So I think looking at it positively, like it definitely like pushed me towards just staying big and just eating a lot and having fun with it.
And if you had any advice to future athletes that would be in your position, maybe a freshman who's going into high school right now having these thoughts, maybe I need to cut this weight to have a better performance, what would you say to someone like that?
I'd say that cutting weight doesn't make you a better wrestler, but if you do decide to cut weight, do it the right way. Keep eating 3 meals a day, but just do it the right way. Work out more and just make sure you're eating healthy, and then the weight will naturally come off. But don't starve yourself. Don't do any of that, because that doesn't make you a better wrestler.
If you don't mind, could you introduce yourself to us, please? Thank you.
Devin Flannery. I'm a fifth-year senior here at Millersville, graduating in a couple days. 3-time All-American, 1-time Super Region champ, and I finished my career with 95 wins here at Millersville.
All right, so can you tell us about the first time you cut weight and whose idea it was?
I don't remember like specifically the first time I ever cut weight. It was definitely pretty young, like early middle school probably, but it wasn't a lot of weight, just like I just had to go down to like the next weight class. But I can remember being real little, putting on garbage bags and running on a treadmill.
So can you talk to us what would be one of your biggest weight cuts, and something that was a traumatic experience for you in your career?
Yeah, my biggest weight cut was probably my redshirt sophomore year here. I was trying to make 125 and I came into the year like 143. So I had to drop from 143 to 125, and I got down. I made the weight 2 times, but the 2 times I made the weight, I just did not perform the way I wanted to. I didn't feel good. I just hated wrestling, and the only thing that I was looking forward to was making weight, and I didn't even care about competing after that.
So was making that weight ultimately the decision that brought you to go up in weight class?
Yeah, after those first 2 times making weight, I had to sit down with my coach, and I talked to a couple of my coaches from back home about it, and I just did not want to make the weight anymore, and they all agreed that I would be fine at the next weight class up. So ultimately I made the decision to go up a weight class, and it really helped me out.
And if you had any advice for any future athletes in a position like you, maybe cutting down to a weight class that is killing them and that they're not being able to reach their potential, what would you have to say to them?
You have to find the right weight class that suits you the best. Cutting too much weight is never good for you, and I also think being too heavy is also not good for you either. You won't perform the way you want to. The guys are going to be a little bit bigger than you, So you have to find that perfect weight class that suits you, where you're not cutting too much weight, and then you're also not giving up too much weight with these other guys.
Perfect. Thank you so much for